Hey everyone, it's NHL Hawk News Sports, and we're back on the video. Today we're talking about the Hurricanes, and can they go on a long playoff run? They are one of the best teams in the NHL this year, and for the last couple of years, I should say, talked about being a Stanley Cup contender. Right now, of Monday, April 18th, of course this could change, but they are first place in the Metropolitan Division, 104 points, tied with the Rangers for first. So there you go. Currently they're in first, but they are tied with the Rangers, 104 points. They both have 76 games, so we'll see what happens. Not many games left of the season. We'll start to see who's the division winner. We'll start to see things start to match up. Who's going to play who. But this chance, we can't really say that. At the end of the video, I'll tell you some teams that they could potentially play, but we'll see what happens. And overall, in the whole league, they are fourth overall. 2 points away from Toronto for third, and that's the best they could do. So, not saying that's horrible, that's amazing, right? Where they are right now, which is really, really good. So, let's get into the previous playoff history, kind of talk about that, and see where they lay this season. Where could they go? How far can they go? Can they go on a run? Is that possible? Like they did in 2019, as we'll get to. But looking at 2021, they lost in the second round to Tampa Bay in 5 games. That wasn't the easiest, right? You look at Tampa Bay going to the Cup in 2021, same thing 2020, back-to-back. Experience going to the Cup. Experience on so many Cup runs, so... they had that one, but it is what it is, right? You're losing 5. They played in the first round, Nashville, which they gave them, at first it wasn't as good, but then the Predators really took it on the Hurricanes there, and you can really see how, wow. Hurricanes had a tough one in the first round there against Soros and the Nashville Predators for sure. But they beat them in 6, I believe, or did it become 7? I can't remember. But it was a tough one, and I say 5 games Tampa Bay beat them. So, let's look to 2020. They lost in the first round in 4 games to Boston. That was a tough one for them, knowing that was kind of like, hey, we got in this long run last year, and then we're at least trying to get to the second round and go to the Cup, something like that, but Boston let that happen, and Boston obviously played the Lightning, and then the Lightning moved on to win the Cup. So Boston actually has been a team that could handle the Hurricanes in past couple years still, but we'll get into that later on. In 2019, they lost in the conference final in 6 games to Boston, so there you go, another one they have lost to Boston, but they were just, they were starting. That was the first year in the playoffs in some time. So, going from no playoffs for some years to playoffs and go on this conference run, hey, that's perfect. That's great. Really, that is fantastic to get that far. Going back to the playoffs in a long time. So, this team is experienced now. They'll expect to go on a run, as most think so. A lot of fans, I'm sure, on the NHL will think this is a team that can win Stanley Cup. They'll pick it in the bracket prediction. But let's get into it. Now you have Andrei Svechnikov, Sebastian Aho, Teuvo Teravainen. Obviously, these aren't lineups, but I just put out the wingers, the centers, the defense, the goaltending, right? So, looking at that, that's a fantastic first line. You got Aho, great player, down the middle, and Teravainen with the shot on the right, and then you have Svechnikov, big guy on the left who can score. Great to have those guys on that first line. Been great to have them this year too. For many years already. Last couple of years. Been great. And then you also add Matt Stolman at the deadline from Columbus. A guy who likes to play center, but, he'd rather play center over a wing, but he's kind of a better winger than a center, you know what I mean? So, the thing is, if he plays down the middle, he'll probably be on the 4th line or something like that. So, moving him to the wing kind of adds the depth there, and that's definitely what they have to do here. Max Domi is a guy who likes to get some points. Playmaker. He's a goal scorer at this point. I believe he doesn't have a goal with the Hurricanes yet, but we'll see if he does soon. You also have Jordan Staal, the captain, who wins the face-off, great on the penalty kill, great at the face-off dot. Great to have him. And then you have Nito Niederreiter, which you can probably exchange for Marty Necas on that fourth line. Marty Necas obviously completing the top six, for sure. But Nito Niederreiter, through his career, he's been up and down, going from basically nothing to something, scoring these goals, and then you see what happened to him, and then back, oh, there he is, and then up and down, of a year. But for him, this year has not been bad. It's been solid for him, which is good to see him have a good, solid season because, this is a good team. This is a fantastic team, for sure. It's hard not to have a good year on a team like this. Going to Jesperi Kotkaniemi, of course, he's out at this moment, but he should be back for the playoffs. As a Habs fan, I know that he has a great shot. I didn't see him as much this year. I'm sure Hurricanes fans start to see how he plays. He does have a good shot. He can play make also, which is interesting of a player, right? For sure. But, he just has to develop more. He's a skinny, small kid. Not too small, but, maybe gets bounced around sometimes, which is a problem sometimes. But Jesperi Kotkaniemi is a good player and hope the best for him there. You have Vinny Trocheck. He's been playing solid too. Great player there. Down the middle, he can score. He's been solid this year too. It's very important to have that center depth, that really solid center depth. We look at Aho, Staal, Trocheck, Stepan on that fourth line. Experience there. If I talk about him a little, New York Ranger, long-time New York Ranger, played with the Coyotes the last couple of years after signing with the Hurricanes this year. But he's been to the playoffs, has won in the playoff series, got to the finals in 2014 with the Rangers, so he has that experience, absolutely. Look at Seth Jarvis, he's a rookie, and they could have sent him back to college, but they kept him because he has a great shot on that right side. Really can score. He's very dynamic of a player, and he has definitely a big future with the Hurricanes for sure. Which it's amazing to have him where they picked him, like around 14th overall a couple years ago. So pretty cool. And they have Lawrence on that fourth line, kind of that grinder, two-way guy on that fourth line. Good to have him out there. Probably penalty killer, you can do him too. So he's good to have out there. Like I talked about Stefan, we talked about Marty Necas. Marty Necas is a great player. He gets around 30-35 points. He actually has his contract up, so gonna have to pay him something. But he is a great player. He really is. That top 9, type of player, I should say. So he's really that type of player, that top 9 guy for sure. You have Jesper Fast, and you have Jordan Martinook, guys on that. Or just, they play in the lineup too. Martinook's kind of like that leader also in the room. You got Fosk, who plays good. You can put him in the top 9, more like a bottom 6 role, like I say. Same thing with Martinook, but it's good to have those guys in the playoffs. They have some experience, for sure. Moving on to the defense, really solid defense here. You have Slaven Pesic. That's just shutdown defense right there. Talk about shutdown defense there. Slavin's having a fantastic year, about 40 points of the season for him. I know Pesic is a little bit less, but he is great defensively for sure. Then you have Brady Shea. He's scoring a lot of goals this year, more than usual. This is kind of probably the most goals he's going to score in his career, but good for him. Score those goals. And you have Tony DeAngelo, who's the puck mover on the point for the power play, moving the puck, quick passes to like a Tail Vine into Aho Sneshnikov. Guys like that to score and snap that puck in the back of the net on the power play. Which is good to have. He is on the small side, but it's good to have a mixture of offensive defensemen that shot from the point. It's also good to have those guys who are shut down. It's good to pair them up, but for sure, Tony DeAngelo is a good puck-moving guy. I'll see how he does in the playoffs. Moving on to Ian Cole. Ian Cole. He actually, of course, won 2 cups with the Penguins, so he has experience there. He knows what he's doing. Third pairing, hey, that's a decent role for him. He's solid there, so good for the playoffs for sure. And you have Bale, who's a young defenseman, about 24, right shot. He's been looking good too. Good to have him. And then you have Brendan Smith, who's our seventh defenseman who you can fill in occasionally. So there you go. Nice to see that. In goal, you have Freddie Anderson and you have Antti Raanta at this moment. Freddie Anderson pulled his groin, it looks like, at this moment. Yesterday, I believe, they had an MRI, it was negative, but he's supposed to be out for a week. You're hoping he'll be back for the playoffs because Antti Raanta is a solid backup goalie. But if you play him too much, he's going to get injured, and you don't want that. Against, in the playoff series, especially in the Eastern Conference, whoever you're going to play, it's not going to be easy in the first round. I don't care if you say it's, the easy, it's the second wild card seed or something like that. Still, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. So, we'll see what happens. If Anderson, I'm sure he'll be back for the playoffs. Hopefully he's ready to go. But Raanta's there, but he does get injured occasionally. More than occasionally, I should say. Frequently. But this year hasn't been as bad. So, we'll see what happens. Hope the best for Anderson there. Now, potential playoff teams they may play. Boston, Pittsburgh, New York, and Tampa Bay. Those are the teams it looks like at the moment they could play. The situations for this to happen, let's look at Boston. So how could this happen? We're at the moment, Hurricanes first in the Metro, second or third, actually, second in the Eastern Conference there. That means they'll play the wild card spot in the first, which is Boston. So that's what it is right now. But Boston could move to that third spot in the Atlantic, which moves down the Lightning to that first wildcard spot, which could mean the Hurricanes and the Lightning, which is something you don't want to see in the first round because both teams want to get past the first round. Absolutely. But that would be an entertaining series to see what happens there. But at the moment, the most likely playoff series at this second is the Hurricanes and the Bruins play again. In past times, hasn't been too good, but the Bruins aren't as good as they used to be the last couple of years, and a little time down the road for sure. So it could be the Penguins also if the Capitals move up. That is a little of a stretch, but they could play the Penguins. The Capitals are 94 points, Penguins are 97. They're all not too far away, but it is a possibility, right? It is. New York Rangers is another team they could play. If they fall, down a little at 104 points, if they go to that first wildcard spot, that could be a potential thing. But I just don't see that at the moment. We'll see what happens. So that's what I mean. Those are the ones we got at this moment. It won't be the Capitals. Panthers are going to play absolutely at this moment. Absolutely looks like that. Or Boston. We'll get to that in another video. But that's what it looks like right now. Boston is the most, I think, likely. Boston, then Tampa Bay, and then Penguins and then Rangers. If I had to put in order. Boston, Tampa Bay, Penguins, Rangers. Which, Tampa Bay might be a little nightmare there for the Hurricanes. Not saying they wouldn't be able to take it, but it's going to be tough. Test the goaltending for sure. So thanks for watching NHL Hockey News Sports, and I'll see you next video.